So I've been saying for a while now that even though the Conservative Party on its surface looks to be a united behind Boris party, but we've said before, and we've discussed this before, that in the Conservative Party there are the two big ideas, and these two big ideas are completely at odds with each other. Because you've got the global Britain agenda versus the levelling up agenda. And these two agendas have all sorts of stuff tied to it. So like global Britain is all about cutting regulation, getting rid of trade barriers, to pretty much 0% tariffs. And again, we've discussed that before. But also it goes into, less public spending and that regard. That is the side of those Tories who they're on. And then you have the levelling up agenda, which is all about helping companies and the companies in this country, investing in them, increasing public spending to mediate that. And like I say, the more one dominates, the more it undermines the other. And at the moment, that global Britain agenda is the one that is currently winning out. And the Northern MPs who got elected on this, we're going to level up, sooner or later, they're going to be in a pretty hard situation where they see their electoral chances slipping away as it becomes very clear that there has been no levelling up done, that the money just wasn't there, and that it was basically just all but a token of what the country actually needs to recover. And the more we get out of this pandemic, the more we get towards back to, quote, a normal situation, the more this rift is going to tear the Tory party about. And we are going to see complete, full-scale blown rebellion. Trust me, these past few years where we have seen pretty much the Tory party marching in lockstep with Boris Johnson are going to seem like days of calm. But trust me, this is but the calm before the storm. And trust me, the storm is coming, and the gap that is going to literally rip open from these two sides will swallow Boris Johnson whole. So, before we jump in today's article, please do remember to hit that like, share and subscribe button. And of course, down below there are links to my Patreon page and a one-off donation link called Buy Me Coffee, where you can, buy me a coffee. And as always, thank you very much to all those people who do support me that way. So, this comes from The Guardian, and the title is, "The Pandemic Has Opened a Deep Rift Within the Conservatives, and It Will Grow." Something strange is happening within the political party, famously ruthless in its pursuit of power and keeping hold of it. Its still popular Prime Minister, with an 80-seat majority, has only just marked his second anniversary, and has still faced very little threat from the official opposition so far. And yet, Boris Johnson goes into the parliamentary recess up against a crescendo of howls from his own side. The rift opening in the Conservative Party is starting its ferocity, and has already revealed a new animosity towards its leader. Senior ministers, over half of the cabinet, and high-ranking MPs are viciously reported to be in rebellion against the government's key policies. Raising the national insurance rate to pay for the NHS and social care has triggered a profound existential angst about how to be a Tory after the COVID crisis. An erstwhile loyal pressure clique has turned angry and accusatory. And what kind of Conservative is Johnson anyway? Ahead, they will see the array of intractable problems, but they will balk at all the possible solutions. They will warn him off any direction from any deviation, shall we say, from the true path, fearing that Hake's road to serfdom is the looming post-COVID future of more, not less government. Just look at what they are saying currently. Tax increases should not be on the table, and the brakes needed to be slammed on public spending, demands the Sunday Times leader headline. This government is losing its grip, the Sunday Times accuses him. Emerging from his COVID bout last year, suffering from long stanism, warning that Britain cannot keep on spending. Robert Coville, the director of the Thatcher-founded Centre for Policy Studies, is bewildered by Johnson's disturbing faith in big government and a strong streak of nannying and intervention. In his proposals, he refers to Ronald Reagan's famous quip. The 9 most terrifying words in the English language are, "I'm from the government and I'm here to help." The old Stiflebonners return, with the Free Market Forum's head, Emma Revel, calling for the elimination of inefficiencies within the NHS. He has since visited an A&E department lately. In her Telegraph rallying cry, she calls it's time for Johnson to return the Conservative Party to its roots and starts lowering taxes. In Johnson's former Spectator editorial seat, Fraser Nelson has completely lambasts him by saying Nanny Boris, the PM's alarming flight from liberalism, accusing him of hoping to sneak through a fundamental change in the nature of the relationship between the individual and the state, walloping him for, quote, "Big Boris is watching you," and finding new ways of eroding our freedom. He insists that the vaccine passports are the start of biosecurity states. Where is the lost Boris, the mocker of health and safety and seatbelts, who would have once mercilessly lampooned all of this? But what exactly is all of this? The right fears lockdowns, masks, and quarantines as harbingers of a newly dominant state. Net zero carbon emissions replacing gas boilers is a totem hate. The social care, tax rises, and levelling up are all under fire. But calls for cutting the fat of spending are forlorn when public services have already been pared beyond completely shaved to the bone for at least past 10 years. The Conservatives' clever election campaign raised voter expectations that everything from the NHS waiting times to failed flood defences would be repaired. Yet, the Institute for Fiscal Studies say that the Treasuries expect another 17 billion of public services to be cut. None of this has been prepared the new Tory voters for this new austerity. The stalemate on decisions amid rows between the fiscally tight Chancellor and the spendthrift Prime Minister has unleashed all this thrashing about in the Tory ranks. These dilemmas cannot be shelved, but they are not Tory-shaped solutions. Only state intervention with higher spending and taxes can we actually confront the climate catastrophe for which less than 100 days from COP26, the planetary decision time, there is still no roadmap to this. Johnson does have options. With one bound, he can literally abandon all the pre-election promises. And everyone knows the pandemic has changed everything. How easy to proclaim that emergency means we must now rescue the NHS, education, social care, and the very social fabric itself. Blood, sweat, and taxes in a time of crisis. But that's returning to the Conservative era before Thatcher. The more consensual Bucharism, of which is Thatcher-bred Tory generalist detests. For them, the only true Conservative response to these crises is to do nothing. Laissez-faire. Rely on the bogus old pretense that cutting red tape, bureaucracy, inefficiency yields a crock of gold at the end of a Tory rainbow. Even Johnson's bad Brexit is coming undone. His cabinet of ravenous contenders will be no help. They only need the nomination from the elderly extremists who now run their dysfunctional party, ignoring the broader base Tory voters, both now in the north and south. Paralysed, Johnson makes no decisions, and this is a cacophony from his own party that will only stiffen this lack of resolve. The former leader William Hague even warns that any steps towards a Keynesian big state, borrowing and risks exposing his right flank to a new UKIP, a Faragist insurgency, the low-tax, small-state, anti-immigration. Yet, Making deeper cuts risk hemorrhaging all support from voters that Johnson secured with promises to ban the very word austerity. The Tory lash-out will be angry because there are no free market answers to these problems. But come the autumn, both the Chancellor and the Prime Minister will be forced to define themselves through taxation and spending choices. The Tory party, that great election-winning machine, usually adapts itself just enough to modern circumstances and just in time. But the groans of the grinding gears from under its bonnet suggest that the necessary adaptation this time may be an ideological stretch too far. And I've said before, these people are completely ideologues when it comes to this. There is going to be austerity. I've said it before, austerity on steroids. And I keep on saying, next year, we are going to be suffering from the ABCs. Austerity, Brexit, COVID. Those are the biggest three problems that are going to hit this country like an absolute sledgehammer. Austerity is going to cut down already on public services that are already threadbare. Brexit, again, we're going to encounter even more problems, not only just on the Northern Ireland side of things, but on our own border, as in October of this year, the first lot of checks are started to be implemented. Those themselves will cause problems. And of course, COVID. How do we recover from the COVID? How do we recover economically? What do we do going forward to help the UK recover from this and to make sure that it never happens again? All the answers to this problem require intense public spending and raising taxes, something which, as we've just discussed, the Tories do not want to do. They do not want to countenance it. And as I've said before, going into the potential next general election, Johnson is walking a very, very tight tightrope. And come autumn, where we see that very big spending budget, what's going to happen? And what are those Northern MPs who were elected and got in on the promise of levelling up their seats? How are they going to respond? The party has literally been bred into this road. And I've said for a while that these confrontations are coming. And now we are starting to see there. I mean, the amount of absolute, lashing that Johnson got from those, unbelievable. But it's coming. The gulf that will swallow Boris Johnson is coming. And it's not surprising that in the future, and as something I've even said in the past, that the only thing that could take out Boris Johnson is not Boris Johnson, it's his own Conservative Party that will end up taking him out. But as always, thank you very much for watching. Please do remember to hit that like, share and subscribe button on your way out. And of course, down below there are links to my Patreon page and a wonderful donation link called Buy Me a Coffee, where you can, buy me a coffee. And as always, thank you very much to all those people who do support the channel that way. And of course, we'll see you all next time.